Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a profile of a deck I took to my most recent locals. We did walk away victorious, however I will preface this by saying it was quite a small locals and the matchups were certainly not meta at all either. So yeah, not really that relevant. But the deck I played was Hieratics with Tenpai. Obviously Hieratics are a deck that already likes to kind of go second, way back from 2012 when it was first released, and Tenpai is obviously very meta. So I personally am a Hieratic enjoyer, and so it was just an idea that I had. Bear with me that the deck is very kind of thrown together. Some of the choices were fairly last minute, but the purpose of this video is more just for the concept really, rather than perfect deck building. But I'll show you what we kind of worked with. The Hieratics, we had 3 Tefnuit. Obviously going second, Tefnuit becomes a lot better because it's not usable going first. 3 Esset as one of your main normal summons, allows the Hieratic engine to kind of work well. 3 Su, this is the best special summon Hieratic because it's a level 6. It can also attribute a Hieratic to pop spells traps, which is fairly useful because obviously attributing Hieratics generates bodies as well, so you pop a spell trap and generate a body, which is really nice. I'm playing 2 Nebthet. Nebthet, if you don't know, is the opposite of Su. So they both summon themselves by attributing a Hieratic, and this one can attribute a Hieratic to pop a monster. So the effect is pretty good. Yep, it's solid. The downside, of course, is that it's level 5, so you can't attribute a Hieratic to summon this. And then when all of it's, again, if you're not aware, the Hieratics will have an effect that when they're attributed, they summon a dragon type normal monster from hand, deck, or graveyard, and its attack and defense becomes 0. And then it's mainly a rank 6 based strategy with rank 8s as well, but we're not playing the rank 8s in this build. But yeah, Nebthet being level 5. If this was level 6, we'd be happy days. It'd be so good, but yeah, it's level 5. So you attribute a Hieratic to pop a monster, so the effect comes up definitely. So I'm playing 2. Normally if you were mainly using the Hieratics as kind of like a rank 6 engine, then you wouldn't play the Nebthet at all, or you'd play just like one of it. But in this, because we are blinding second and we know that we're going into boards, we're playing 2. I was originally playing 3, but yeah, it was just a bit bricky. And I'm playing 2 Kaiser Glider Golden Burst. This card just says as a quick effect to tribute a monster and special summon it from the hand. This is really useful, obviously, for tributing Hieratics, and it's level 6 and it's a dragon, but also you can tribute a monster as a quick effect to dodge targeting effects, which certainly comes up as well. And then the 2 vanillas we're playing 1 Labradorite and 1 Wateo Dragon. I was originally testing 1 Flamvale Guard as a level 1 fire tuner. Obviously being fire is relevant with the Tenpai stuff. It's a fire dragon that can be recurred with some of the Tenpai resources and things like that. It's a tuner, which is nice. And it means that the Hieratic engine can kind of access the Synchro 7 of the Tenpais. And look, maybe with further revision, you might consider playing it, but I ultimately cut it because playing like the 2 vanillas already is pretty bad. Playing a third one just didn't feel right. I was trying to cut space for other cards. And then a non-once per turn searcher is fantastic for the deck. So 3 Hieratic Seal of Convocation. The Hieratic side of things is always a 2-card engine. So this just is any additional copy of something you're missing, or you can add Hieratics like if you need fodder for like a Nebthet or something like that. So yeah, Convocation is fantastic, and of course you'd play it at 3. The whole point of the Hieratics, so obviously you'd probably just say, well, why don't you just play a Tenpai deck? And if you want to play more competitively, you would just play a Tenpai deck. But the Hieratics are pretty cool as an engine for the enjoyers of Hieratics, myself included obviously, but also because they allow you to summon. And this is the one of the main points of the Hieratics is to summon out a Tum. A Tum allows you to access any dragon from the deck. Not in defense position or anything like that, so you can access the Tenpai portion with a Tum really nicely, while also kind of using the Hieratics to break a board as well. Yes, it's not a perfect strategy, and I'm not trying to preach that it is, but that is kind of the synergy, is that you can kind of break apart boards while also setting up the engine to go into Tenpai. Speaking of Tenpai, I was originally playing a smaller lineup, but like really these are the cards that win you games, so kind of had to play a little bit more of an engine. Playing 2 Pydra, 2 Chandra, and 1 Fadra. and then playing 3 of the quick play and 2 of the field spell. So originally I was just playing 3 quick play, 1 field spell, and then 1 of each of the Tenpai monsters. But I just found that sometimes like the hands were kind of cloggy on. I was also playing 3 Kaiser and 3 Nebthet. It was just quite cloggy, so I just revamped the ratios, played a little bit more of a Tenpai engine, cut back on the Hieratic side just that little bit, just to kind of make the just kind of work out a bit better, and it was a lot more successful. So you're almost playing the full Tenpai core. You're obviously one away, or one of those away from like the full core, but yeah, like my purpose was to play Hieratics and to kind of just find an excuse to use them. Obviously quarter century seals just came out. I've got a quarter century playset of Enemy Controller, so I really just wanted to play Hieratics in something. And so I just figured Tenpai was the current best way to get the most out of what the Hieratics can do. Going into the non-engine, I'm playing 2 Bestials, so that's Druis and Magnemite. Obviously Magnemite is a card that just goes absolutely crazy in this deck, being able to search any of your dragons. And then the real reason I really wanted to play the deck was just as an excuse to play quarter century Enemy Controller. I just really like the card, and it says tribute a monster, so you can break boards while also generating advantage with the Hieratics quite nicely. So that was quite good to have. Eclipse was a card that was kind of overperforming. You book the board, get into the battle phase, and then if you can get to the big Synchro 10 before doing too much, it obviously flips all their monsters face up, but then they're under the lock anyway, so they can't activate any effects, and you can kind of just push for the OTK. And then I was playing 3 Droplet and 3 Talents. The Talents was kind of the idea behind Talents was that it was, once you're using the Hieratics to, push through things and force out negations, that's when the Talents becomes live. It worked sometimes, but also it was fairly inconsistent. Obviously, having to rely on your opponent to kind of do something, but Talents obviously just too crazy not to not include. Another card you could consider is something like Thrust. Thrust, obviously, as a non-engine card, allows you to get to Talents. You'd maybe have to revamp the non-engine choices a little bit because a lot of these are quick plays. But if you had Terraforming plus your Hieratic Seal of Convocation, you can access both parts of your deck with Thrust as well. So that's definitely a consideration. It's in the side deck, but you could definitely justify maining it. And then for the extra deck, quarter century seals, had to play it to get an excuse to play it in its main archetype. I was also playing SP and Heater. I will say that the extra deck is probably the worst part of this list. The main deck was not too bad. The extra deck was very quickly thrown together. There's definitely things you would play instead of a lot of these cards, but like I said, it was very quickly thrown together. They served a purpose. I actually went into most of the cards, but yeah. The Synchros, I'd probably play a second one of these, the Transcendent Dragon, and I was playing the 2, but I don't have a Trident Dragon, so didn't play it. But that would obviously be a card that you would include if you had it. I was playing a Disparter, Meteor Burst, and Black Rose, so these are all good. I'd probably play more Synchros, if I'm being honest, and play less Xyz monsters. I think, and maybe more of the Link package, like the Zelantis and the Raging Phoenix, for example, like Princess. Those other things you could certainly play in the deck, but at that point you're probably just playing more of a Tenpai deck. For the Xyz, we're playing Atum, playing Bouncer, Constella Ptolemy M7. This originally was when I had this in there originally when I was playing less of a Tenpai engine, because this was just a way to recur the Tenpai cards. Now that I'm playing more Tenpai cards, you probably wouldn't use this at all. Photoshop Grounds is cool. I'm a huge fan. I really like the idea of Utopia Beyond. It makes all the monsters 0 attack. But obviously the Tenpai deck already doesn't have any issues OTKing, but I just thought it was cute. And this is pretty useful for going into something like Zeus. I know Zeus goes against what the deck is trying to do, but so I didn't actually end up going into Zeus, but I was playing Gaia Dragon and Zeus. Gaia Dragon obviously pairs with the Atum pretty nicely, just to give the Atum a bit more purpose. But yeah, I didn't actually make Zeus at all. But yeah, there's definitely things I probably cut down the Xyz package quite a lot. Really, Atum is the most useful. The rest are fairly flexible, if we're being honest, and you probably just load up more Synchros. The side deck that I was playing, there's a few decks at my locals that fall to Ghost Ogre, so I threw that in there. Thrust came in a lot. I was playing Storm and Duster just for some back row removal. These are just more thrust targets. This was just a going first cute card. If you haven't seen this, it says tribute a dragon, then target 2 cards on the field, destroy them. Obviously, if you tribute a Hieratic, that's awesome. You know, go off from there. And I was just playing 3D barrier just as a generic going first card. But that was the deck. What I'll go into a couple of test hands. Obviously, you know, it's hard to do test hands when you're not playing against anything, but I'll just kind of show what the hands kind of look like. Okay, so I'll do a couple of quick test hands. It's going to be fairly hard to play out because, I mean, really it's just, like the Tenpai cards just do like the OTK, but it's just going to be like a combination of looking for disruption cards plus a way to play. So that's 4, that's 5, and of course, because we're going second, we would be drawing a card. Well, that's a pretty good one. So, you know, in a hand like this, you know, obviously this doesn't look like too much. There's no Tenpai cards here, but this definitely gets you access to what you want. So we've got like Econ and Talents to try and push through. Obviously, these are both fairly reactive. So hypothetically, these could just be 2 ways of stealing monsters from our opponent. And, you know, our opponent's going to have lots of different things. This is definitely a local deck. This is certainly not something you would take to anything like bigger than that. But what you'd probably start with is the special of Tefnuit. And then you get to kind of see what your opponent kind of does from there. They're not expecting this, of course. But like, you know, enemy controller at any point contribute the Tefnuit or whatever it is to keep playing. But then we could tribute the Tefnuit and summon out the Nebthet. The Tefnuit will trigger to summon out a vanilla. So you can summon out one of the vanillas there. So like the Wartail Dragon. And then we can choose to use the Nebthet to tribute the Asset from the hand to target a monster and pop it. And again, this can dodge things if need be. And then because the asset was sort of, you know, we popped a card, the asset's triggered to summon another vanilla. Now we can bring out the Labradorite Dragon. We've also got the Golden Burst to dodge some, like we've still got this as well. So these 2 6s already represent a way to get into the Tenpai engine, which is something that we can, you know, attempt to do. And again, dodging is awesome because, you know, similar, like it's obviously not like Gigantix, right, where it has to stay on the field. So we can detach the material and, you know, hypothetically try to stop it. That's when we can go for Econ. We can tribute it off. So hypothetically, if we try to stop this with like an Imperm or something, Econ, tribute it off, and we're still resolving the summon from deck. And we can summon out the Pydra. We put it in attack mode. Obviously, it's going to be 0 attack, but it doesn't really matter because we're getting the search. And obviously, we can grab Kaiman or the summoning. I would rather get the Kaiman. This is just kind of how I was playing it. Was just generally always going for the quick play. We also have some extra monster at this point because of the Econ. But we're just not going to count that. We'll just kind of keep playing. And we can, you know, kind of go from there. We've got the Kaiser Glider to tribute the Nebthet. So like hypothetically, we could tribute the Nebthet and summon itself. The Nebthet will trigger as well. It'll summon back. So even if we didn't have to tribute the Atom with the enemy controller, we still had a material in the graveyard to summon back. So we get our vanilla back. This is where we can again go for something like to make everything 0, or we could go for this to bounce a card. Or depending on what they've got, we could go for like any one of these, depending on the board state. I'll just chuck them all over there. So any one of those, obviously we can clear a monster with the Constellar Ptolemy, make everything 0 if we need to, or just set up some insulation for the Tenpai stuff. And then we're just doing Tenpai things, right? We're going to the battle phase and going for Kaiman, Cap Chandra, and then Chandra, go into the Pydra, and like I'm not going to play this out. This is all pretty boring stuff, but then we're just kind of playing Tenpai. So like this test hand kind of showed perfectly, I guess, what the synergies of the deck were. You know, again, I'm not over here trying to say that this is a fantastic deck. It's just something cute for someone who, you know, enjoys playing Hieratics. And yeah, it kind of works out. And it certainly did at the locals. I was actually, you know, impressed with the games. Now, obviously, again, they weren't many games, but it's locals, so what can you expect? And yeah, and it was funny, I ended up going first. A lot of the time I actually went up against a blind second deck, and then another deck made me go first because they thought it was a you know. And so we ended up on Seals Pass every time with like a set Forbidden Droplet or a set Econ or a set Book of Eclipse. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was obviously a terrible hand. And then like if this is a normal summon or a special summon, we're okay. And it's an Eclipse, so obviously bad hand. We're not really doing anything with this. Like if this were to happen to force out like a monster effect, then you know Talons could draw us into 2 cards, but the likelihood of that happening, and these aren't even good cards anyway, so that was a bad hand. So yeah, going first, we're just going Seals Pass and hoping for the best. And then obviously the non-engine that we've selected are mostly quick plays anyway, so we're just trying to survive a turn and then, you know, crack back with the Tenpai stuff. So Econ, Hydra, Tefnuit, Nebthet, and Convocation. So this is going to be like another hand very similar to the first one, and obviously draw our 6th card, which was the summoning. We don't really need the summoning here at this point, but obviously just gives us an extra card. We'd probably just fire off the Convocation first and get out the Sue. And then we go from there, because and like the beauty of this like lineup of Hieratics, because we don't need S set with Tefnuit, we can actually just normal summon the Hydra at the end of all this too, if that's what we needed to do. So like, you know, playing this out, we, you know, could special up the Tefnuit, Econ for dodging things. Obviously, like breaking the board's pretty tricky, but with just like the one quick play. But you know, we would be, you know, trying our best. Tribute over the Tefnuit to special the Nebthet. That would trigger the Tefnuit to summon out the vanilla. One thing we could probably throw into the extra deck if you know, we wanted to make space for it was like the Ultimate Zolkin lines. Like the Hieratics already get there pretty easily. The Tenpai stuff can get to it as well with a bit of setup, but yeah, Zolkin's pretty good as well. We can go Nebthet, tribute the Tefnuit, the Sue, if we don't need this. Yeah, it depends on what, like mostly our opponent's going to have monster boards, but if the Spell Trap board, we can obviously go for the Sue instead, tribute the Nebthet in hand. But Nebthet tribute the Sue to target a monster and pop it, and we get our search again for, or we can summon out a vanilla. So then from this point, obviously we've got the 2 6s. This could go into any one of the, you know, disruptive 6s. It could go into a Tum. So like, for example, we could go a Tum, detach, summon something like a, like we got to summon like Magnum up, we're trying to win the game, so we could even summon out Druiswim. We could link off into SP Little Knight, and then go from there. So like we get the Druiswim send there as well, and like after all of that, like obviously, you know, this would probably be used at some point throughout all this, and then we can just normal summon the Hydra and then try and push for that lethal as well. Yeah, I won't do any more. I think you kind of get the gist of what the deck does. So it does like the Tenpai things. The Hieratics are more just a means to an end to get to the Tenpai side of the deck. But I had a great time playing the deck just because Hieratic enjoyer, I think it's fun. But certainly something you could give a go. It's not terrible, but not something you would probably take to anything bigger than a locals there. But otherwise, that's it for this one, and I'll catch you in the next one.